We have got a lot of stuff here to get through. We have got foundations, skin tints, concealers, blushes, eyeshadows, lipsticks, mascara. We've got a lot. So let's just get right into the video. All right, so we are doing a new makeup try-on haul. And this is kind of a collective haul. I picked up a couple of things from Victoria Beckham, a couple of things from Ulta. I will get into what's from where, but most of this is from Sephora. Some of these things I have tried before, and I will give you my thoughts on them. Some of them I haven't. And the ones that I haven't tried are the ones that we are going to put on in this haul. We are going to start with a primer. I got the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin in the new shade Fresh Pressed. I have owned this before in the past, not this color, but this product. And it is such a nice primer. It's a very light pink serum. It looks, hopefully it's sheer. Yeah, I can kind of see through the packaging already. It's very sheer. I have owned this in the gold tone shade. This is a fantastic primer. I got a sample of it recently and remembered how great it was, so I wanted to pick up the full size. So it's like a light pink sheer serum. This stuff feels so nice on the skin. Oh, my bangs. So I finally, for once, decided to kind of leave my bangs down, and now they're in my face, and I remember why I don't like them. That primer feels so nice on the skin. It doesn't feel like a primer, like it doesn't feel like a makeup product. It just feels like skincare, like a very hydrating serum. Sorry, I know that looks crazy, but it's going to have to work. I kind of did this really undone messy hair thing today, and I'm kind of liking it. It's a vibe. The Danessa Myricks primer, I know that I love this. It's such a great, like, hydrating primer, and it does have a glow. You can see the glow, but there's no tint. Like, I don't see a pink. It didn't make my face pink. The other shades can give you like a hint of warmth, a hint. I mean, just a touch. I was curious to try the pink and see if it like brightened. It might have just a little bit. It smells great. It smells really nice. It smells kind of fruity. Fresh Pressed is the name of the shade, so it kind of makes sense that it's like a fruity scent. Complexion products. I have a lot of complexion products here. I have the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Skin Tint. I have the Makeup Forever Super Boost Skin Tint. I have 2 of the Lawless foundation shades. I've actually purchased 4 of these shades, trying to find my shade. I'll get into that in a moment. I have the Givenchy Prisme Libre Glow Serum Foundation. This is the new blurring foundation in shade 1.5. Let me decide which one of these we are going to do. The Makeup Forever Hydro Boost, I have worn this before and I like it. I like it a lot. The dropper thing is kind of strange. You know, you push it out here. It works well. This is shade 3 in the Makeup Forever. The Milk Makeup, I have shade 4. So that is shade 4 in the Milk Makeup. These are the problem children. This Lawless foundation, I cannot find a shade. I've tried 4 shades. None of them are right. This is shade 3F and it is way too dark. And then this is shade 1F. And it is the right depth, but it is way too pink. I think maybe 2F is going to be my shade, but that one is sold out. I initially bought 5L. I didn't even open it. I just immediately returned it. And then I bought 4L. Same thing. Didn't even open it. Immediately returned it after looking at the bottle. Like, far too dark. They were called light shades. They were like, to me, medium. So then in the Prisme Libre foundation, I have shade 1W in the Givenchy next to all of those other ones. I think I'm going to do the Milk Makeup. I'm just super curious about how that one wears. I have worn the Makeup Forever and I absolutely love it. It's really nice. And I'm going to be doing a skin tint showdown for mature skins, and I need to get my head around the Milk Makeup. So I think that's what we're going to do today. I'm just going to take a little bit of this onto my finger and dab it around and blend it out with a beauty blender. That's got quite a bit of coverage. That's got more coverage than I was expecting. Okay, so here are the foundation shades. This is shade 3 in the Lawless, and shade 1 is the right depth, but it's a little too pinky peach. This is the Milk Makeup. It's also a little too pinky peach. And then the Makeup Forever, the Givenchy right here is just slightly too light for me. Not too much. Now, when it sets down, it's fine. It's a fine skin tone match. I have to wait for it to like set down and oxidize. I'm gonna look at this Milk Makeup foundation in my 10 times magnification mirror and see what is going on. Okay, right off the bat, I have to say I don't like it. I don't like the way that this looks on the skin. I hate to say that. I mean, this is only my first time trying it. Maybe it's the primer underneath it. However, that primer has always worked with everything that I've used. It looks kind of heavy on my skin, which is quite surprising for a skin tint. I don't know. Like I said, I'm looking at it 10 times magnification. This is, maybe equivalent of like 2 feet from my face for you. I don't know where I came up with that arbitrary number. It just looks quite heavy on the skin. I can see it, and it's a skin tint, and usually skin tints don't show so much. Like I can see it in my lines, in my pores. Yeah, I don't like it. And I can touch it and it just kind of comes off. I mean, granted, it hasn't been very long, so maybe it would eventually set down. However, I am not loving this, and I do have things to do today, so I'm not giving up on it, but I am going to take this off and we are going to go in with the Givenchy. I'm back. I washed my face. You know how when somebody says that something like sits on the skin and doesn't sink in, or you can see it kind of hovering on the surface of the skin? This was a perfect example of that for me and my skin. There was not even any effort required to wash it off. It was just a matter of wiping it off. Very strange. Like it didn't seem to adhere to my skin. It just kind of floated above it, if that makes sense. Not a fan. I'm going to put on the primer again. I don't know if that foundation or that skin tint is going to work for me. Honestly, it's just a little too sticky. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to set down. It just stays sticky, tacky. Not a fan of that. Now, I would use the Lawless foundations, and I have used these before. So this would not be a first impression of this formula. This reminds me of the Anastasia Impeccable Matte Foundation, the formula. This is not a glowy foundation. It's a matte. Looks like the Anastasia on me. The shade range is even oddly similar, like very dark leaning. They're very similar formulas, in my opinion. The way that they function on the skin, the way that they look on the skin, the way that they wear. There doesn't seem to be a shade in this foundation for me. I'm holding out hope that 2F is it. They're both very like peachy. They're not very neutral. Even though they are called neutral, they're not super neutral. So the shade range on that Lawless foundation is off. And the shade range was, in my opinion, off on the Anastasia too. But in that foundation, I have a shade match in 1.5N. In this one, so far, after trying 4, I do not have a shade match. I'm hoping 2F is the one, but if it's not, there isn't even one that is close. Like there isn't even one that I can make work. Neither of these are even passable on me. I can mix them with other things and make them work. In my Chanel Camellia Futura review and demo, I am wearing that foundation, but I have it mixed with something else in order to get a shade match. And I don't feel like that's the best representation of the formula. It did wear very nicely. It is very full coverage. It's very perfecting on the skin. Like it says plumping. I don't think it's plumping. I think it's blurring like the Anastasia foundation. So that's my opinion on that foundation as of right now. We are going to go in with the Givenchy and see how this one does. This is a very liquidy formula, so I do suggest shaking it. And I am going to go in with one pump all over the face. And we're going to use my beauty blender to blend this out. This one is giving me more coverage than the Milk, which it should. You know, it's a foundation versus a skin tint. One pump might be too much. Like it's kind of going a long way. All right, so that is one pump of the Givenchy blended out. I'm looking quite flat and pale. Let me look at this in my 10 times magnification mirror. We'll see what's going on with this one. The difference is crazy. It sits so much nicer on the skin. It looks so much better. So much better. The shade, I would prefer it to be deeper, especially for summer, like the spring summer. This is not going to work for me. But they don't have a 2W. It goes from 1.5W to 3W. I just need something like slightly deeper. However, you'll see when this like sets down. The skin tone matches perfect. I just wish that they had a 2W so it would be easier to use in the summer. What I plan to do is mix this with the Guerlain because the Guerlain is too dark. That Guerlain Terracotta Le Glow foundation. They're very similar formulas to me, very similar claims. This is a beautiful foundation, very smoothing on the skin. I would say like a light medium coverage. Let's move on to concealers. I have a few options for concealers. Very Valentino concealer. This is all day, light lasting covering concealer. I have the shade LN2. The packaging is super cute. For the price of this, I kind of expected more. It's just plastic. It doesn't feel particularly expensive or nice. Ooh, the doe foot's nice. This looks to be like a light coverage concealer. You can see my hand through there, which is fine with me. I like a light coverage concealer. It feels very thin and serum-y. This has potential. And then the next concealer that I got is not really a concealer. It's a color corrector, but I use it as a concealer. It is the Cali Ray Hideaway color corrector. This stuff is fantastic. This comes in a glass bottle. It feels very heavy, it feels more expensive than the Valentino. This is in the shade Radiant, kind of a peachy pink. See that? Color correcting shade, very thin formula, also light coverage. I have used this before, another color in this range. This is a new color. This is, again, the shade Radiant. So good. This is so good. I know how I feel about this one, so I don't want to use that in today's video. The one that I think I'm going to go with is the Refi Concealer. I got this in the shade 6, and I've been curious about this concealer for a long time. It does say shake well, so I'm going to shake it. I've been curious about this since I saw, Hannah Louise Poston really seems to love this concealer. That also feels quite thin. This one looks to have more coverage than the other two. So this is the Refi, this is the Cali Ray, this is the Valentino up here. We're going to go in with this Refi concealer and see if it works magic. I feel like I just got too much just with those 2 dots. I feel like that's too much. So Hannah has always talked about how blurring this concealer is, and that is what piqued my interest. The Refi products overall don't really appeal to me. I do like their brow gel. It's very similar to the Kulfi brow gel. I mean, I think Kulfi kind of copied Refi. I mean, who knows? They probably were in production at the same time, but it is the exact same component as the Refi brow gel. The Refi is good. The Kulfi is way better. The Refi can be a little clumpy, flaky. That's really pretty. Okay, so that looks beautiful under the eyes. It's like a medium coverage. I wouldn't say it's full coverage. And, you saw how much I used it. I do feel like it's very smoothing. Okay, so at 10 times magnification, it doesn't look great. It looks fine from a distance. Like I like the way it looks from a distance. Up close, it looks a little dry and flaky almost. Like you can see dry patches under my eyes that I didn't know were there. So that's not my favorite. I'm not loving that. At this distance, it looks great. The coverage is nice. It does look quite smoothing at a normal viewing distance. Not loving it up close, but we'll see if it sets down and, does anything. We'll see if it transforms into something magical. Okay. It might. It might. I didn't pick up a new bronzer, so I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury contour one real quick because that foundation makes me look very, very, very flat. This product blends out so nicely. Like it's so pretty and the color is beautiful. I mean, you could just use this alone and no blush and be totally fine, but I am going to use a blush because we have some new blushes. I'm the kind of person that when I watch someone doing their makeup, like on TikTok, YouTube or whatever, and they put something on their face and they let it set there forever while they're talking and, doing all this stuff, I'm like, it's going to set down. You got to blend it out. Like it stresses me out. It gives me anxiety. I'm always afraid that their product is going to set down and it's not going to blend out. This does not do that. You do have time to work with it and blend it out. So I love that. I love the Charlotte Tilbury contour one. I know this video is not about that, but I just have to mention it. I got 3 new blushes. I've tried one of them. One that I have not tried is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder in the shade Spiced Latte. This shade looked so beautiful. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh, look at that shade. It almost looks like a very warm bronzer. That's so pigmented. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's so intensely pigmented. It shears out really, really easily. I'm a little scared of that. It's so incredibly warm. It looks almost straight up orange on me. I'm going to think on that. I mean, I think it would kind of be pretty with the look that I have in mind today, but I'm going to see if one of these might be better. Okay, so I also picked up another of the YSL Make Me Blush blushes. I had to Google how to pronounce this shade, and I'm going to butcher it, but it is Nude Lavalliere. I know that's wrong. I know it's wrong. I'm sorry. But this shade looks absolutely stunning. It's like a rosy mauve. Really, really pretty. I thought it would be a little more like muted purple. It's not. It's like a pretty bright pink. The last blush that I picked up is the Huda Beauty blush filter. I got one of the new shades. I got Sunset Lychee. This shade looks absolutely beautiful. The Huda blush filters are so nice. They're so blurring on the cheeks. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the Danessa Myricks because I've never tried this formula before and I'm just curious. And you know, if nothing else, it'll just look like a pretty intense bronzer, and then I can go over it with one of these other blushes to kind of tone it down. That's my thought process anyway. We'll see how that works out in practice. So it is very, 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 wow. That was stupid of me. I should have tapped it off on the back of my hand. I'm not loving this shade on me. It's not bad. It looks like a sunburn. It's like a very warm, rusty orange color. It's pretty. It's just maybe not my favorite. The formula blended out super easily. It looked very intense. I was able to get it to like, you know, look like it belongs there as far as the intensity. It doesn't look overdone. It's quite a pretty formula. It's very blurring on the skin. So I do agree with the claims. I just don't know if I am loving that shade. I'm loving the formula. I think I'm going to go in with the Huda and just do a little bit of coral. I think it'll look nice, like on the tops of the cheekbones. I think we'll see. I'm going to do my brows just quickly off camera. I'll be right back. Okay, I did get a new brow gel. I got the Rare Beauty Brow Harmony Brow Gel. This is a repurchase for me. I have owned this before. It is a fantastic brow gel. Is one of the only brow gels that actually holds my brows. Now, I love the Colby brow gel because of the way that it sculpts them and defines them, and it's kind of like a movable brow gel that you can reposition throughout the day and it doesn't get sticky or tacky. This one like sets them down and they're kind of crunchy, which I like because it means that they are going to hold like that, but it does not flake. Does not get crusty. Like it looks like this from morning to night. Fantastic brow gel. Absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. So happy to have that back in my life. Back to blush. We're going to go in with the Huda blush filter. Kind of keep this up high. Just do 2 dots. See how this blends out. The blush filters are so smoothing on the skin. They're really, really nice. They smell delightful. Really a pretty spring summer shade, like nice, bright, corally. I'm loving it. And you can see now that I have all of my complexion on, the foundation looks at home on my face. It sets down, it gets a little bit deeper and matches. I also picked up the Lawless powder in the shade Tutu. This is their new pink setting powder. And I have never tried a Lawless powder before. I love the packaging. The packaging on Lawless products is so nice. This is beautiful. They got the pink powder here, and then underneath it, it has a little sponge. So it's kind of an all-in-one. I like that. I like, you don't see this much anymore where you get like an actual powder puff with your powder. I'm going to go ahead and use this and set under the eyes. And I'm just going to use my Sephora powder puff. And I'm just going to use this under the eyes. I'm not going to use it everywhere. Oh, it's very, very smooth. Can you see the blurring on this side versus this side? Can you see like how smooth and flat my under eye looks compared to this side? Anytime you put a powder anywhere, it's going to blur. But something about this one just looks so smoothing under the eyes. That's really nice. I'm going to set my smile lines. So you can see the pink tone of the powder. I mean, it is a pink powder. I don't mind that under the eyes. In fact, I'm kind of preferring it lately, but that looks so smoothing and pretty. So far, so good with that powder. That is absolutely beautiful under the eyes. Like that does something special. It has completely diminished my lines. Wow. Very nice. It is the season of eyeshadows. Eyeshadow is back. I could not be happier about it, truly. Like, I love eyeshadow. I am so happy to see so many eyeshadows being released by so many different brands, and eyeshadows that are like punchy, that are visible, that are, meant to look like eyeshadow. Loving it, loving it. I've got quite a few new eyeshadows. Now, these are not first impressions. I picked up 2 of the Victoria Beckham palettes. It's hard to call these palettes for me just because of the size, okay? Let me just show you. So this is my first time owning a Victoria Beckham palette or quad. The other shades just didn't quite appeal to me. They were like all matte, all shimmer. The color stories didn't really make sense to me. I mean, just to me, like they just didn't speak to me. This release though did, because you get a mix of mattes and shimmers. They're not all in one pan. There are separate pans. I picked up the Victoria palette and the Olive palette. These are $75 for 4 shades. Now, they are refillable. They feel very luxurious. This compact is incredibly heavy. It's a forever compact. You don't ever have to replace it. The compact alone is $25. The refills are $50. So if you go through this, you don't ever have to buy it again, right? You can just buy a refill. I appreciate that so much. And the colors in here are very interesting to me. Like this release did speak to me, at least these 2 palettes, right? I have to say, I was shocked when I got them by how tiny they are, probably because they're $75. I just thought that they would be bigger. They are tiny. They are smaller than a credit card. They're tiny, tiny. I can't overstate how tiny they are. And I was surprised by that. Now, having said that, I do appreciate that you get like your transition shade, or the shade that you'll probably use the most is a larger pan in both palettes. I do appreciate that. Like that's pretty thoughtful. And this palette, I absolutely love. This right here is a stunning smoky eye palette. So my hand is a little bit stained with blushes, but I'm going to get you swatches of this Victoria palette. This palette is my favorite palette out of the 2 that I own. So this is the Victoria palette swatch. Now, this is just rubbing my finger in one swatch. I didn't do extra work here to make these look more pigmented or more aesthetically pleasing. I can build that one up more just so you can kind of see the color in there. But these colors are beautiful, and these shades are quite creamy, easy to work with, all of them. And this shade, this like minky blackened brown silver metallic oil slick of a color is beautiful. Like this shade to me makes this palette worth it. I think it's so pretty. If you like a smoky eye, these shades right here work together to create a stunning smoky eye on, I think, all skin tones. I'm not going to use this. I might dip into this today. We'll see. We're going to get through all of these eyeshadows and then we'll make a decision. But this palette is really pretty, and I have used this before to create a smoky eye that was absolutely stunning. I love it. I can see myself using this in the summer a lot with a nude lip and like really bronzed, glowy skin and a heavy, heavy smoky eye. So that palette is a hit to me. I also picked up the Olive palette because this just looked so interesting to me online. It looked like it was 2 mattes and 2 shimmers. In reality, this shade right here that I thought was going to be like an olive green shimmer translates more matte. Here are those shades on the fingers. This is the Olive palette swatched, and this is the like transition shade, obviously. This is the shade that I thought was going to be a shimmer. And you can see that it's just, it looks like a brown. It doesn't look green. And then this green is really, it's very green, but it's kind of patchy, kind of dry, like not my favorite texture. And this one is beautiful. The shimmer, it's really pretty. It's like a goldy, it's like a greenish gold. It's really pretty, but I have to say this palette disappointed me. Mattes feel quite dry and quite patchy. The shimmer is stunning, but overall as a palette, I'm not super thrilled with the Olive palette in particular. The good thing is I think you can mix and match these tones, like these two palettes. You don't have to just use the olive palette or just use the smoky palette. They're not like so far off base, right? They're not so far away from each other that you can't use one color from one palette and one from the next. My problem with these Victoria Beckham palettes is versatility. With this smoky eye palette, you're only going to get a smoky eye. There's not much else you can do with it, really. You could do a matte smoky eye or a smoky eye with shimmer. That's all that I can see here. There's just not much else that you can do. Yes, you could use this like mid-tone brown on your lid and then these colors in the crease or to blend it out, but you're still going to end up with a smoky eye. There's just not much versatility in this palette. However, what it gives you, if you like a smoky eye, I think it's exceptional for that. For a smoky eye, it's stunning. I can't think of one better. The colors that she's chosen to create a smoky eye are absolutely beautiful. This is all I could need to create a smoky eye. The olive palette, you're pretty limited in what you can do here too. The two green shades, I mean, yes, they're different. When you blend them out on the eyes, they're not different enough, in my opinion, to look like totally different shades. And then the shimmer is gorgeous. The shimmer is beautiful. I would even pull this in and use it with this smoky eye palette to brighten it up. This kind of camel brown shade is really, really pretty. I really like that shade in particular. But these two, I don't like. Blend out into like a brown. They don't look green on me. I'm just pretty disappointed in the olive palette overall. Shortly after buying these, Charlotte Tilbury announced her palettes, and everybody was up in arms over the price for plastic packaging. And I have a little bit of a different take on that, right? Because to me, you've got two ends of the spectrum here where you have got, this is luxury packaging. This is not luxury packaging. The Victoria Beckham packaging from start to finish is leaps and bounds above Charlotte Tilbury. Like the entire experience at Victoria Beckham is luxurious. Her boxes to the little pouches that come with every order, everything is packaged to deliver a luxury experience to you. You do feel like this is a luxury product. You're limited with what you can do with it. Now, on the other hand, this absolutely, especially even the outer carton looks like a drugstore packaging. Like she could have even done a better box and maybe people would have a different thought. But she didn't. So you've got this, the box with the clear panel, which to me seems it does not seem luxurious. You've got the actual palette that has, it's plastic. Now, plastic doesn't bother me. This is plastic. This Valentino concealer that was $39. This is 100% plastic. The Milk Makeup, plastic. This is plastic. Plastic packaging is everywhere. I hate it. I wish that it weren't, but it is. Everything comes packaged in plastic. I think that the problem that people had with this is that it's clear plastic. That does not bother me because I can easily see what is in here. So the packaging on this, while it doesn't give luxury, it doesn't piss me off either. I don't care, right? Because what is in this palette for $60 compared to what is in this palette for $75 is a completely different experience, completely different use case. And I feel like this is so much more versatile than this. And this is less expensive. You get 9 pans in here. You get a mixture of mattes and shimmers, and they are absolutely beautiful. These colors are so pretty. You get 6 mattes and 3 shimmers in this palette. This is a beautiful palette. I just feel like it's so much more versatile than the Victoria Beckham. And I guess since they came out like at the same time, that's why in my mind, I kind of feel like the Charlotte Tilbury is a better value. I mean, yes, it's $60 for plastic. Plastic is everywhere. Most packaging is plastic these days. So is the issue that it's clear plastic and not like a solid plastic color? Or is the issue that it's $60? If the issue is that it's $60, I get it. I do. The Victoria Beckham is $75 for 4 shades. Look at those shimmers. Here's some swatches from the Charlotte Tilbury palette. Some of the mattes and all of the shimmers. You can't really see that beigey matte in the center. It's kind of the same color as my skin. But They're very creamy. They're very blendable. They're super easy to work with. And this shade right here is like a cream. I think the center one and this one are both creams. They just work beautifully on the eyes. I have used them before. This is not first impression. I think that the Charlotte Tilbury palettes are a better value than the Victoria Beckham palettes. And if I had to pick one or the other after owning both, I would go with Charlotte Tilbury. I also picked up the Emerald palette, and I mean, this palette compared to the Victoria Beckham green palette, there's no comparison, in my opinion. I hate to sound so negative about the Victoria Beckham because they're nice, but look at all the shades you get in here. And you not only get these gorgeous, gorgeous greens, but look at the browns. You can do a completely brown look with no greens in this palette or a completely green look with no browns. You can do different tones of green. This is very goldy green. This is very emerald. This is very olive. This is like a minty green topper. In this green palette, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 shimmers. So here's 4 of them. Okay. So here are the shimmers in the emerald palette. This is the gold in the top corner. This brown and this brown, you get 2 different tones of brown. These would be beautiful one and dones. I mean, you could just use the brown and the gold and not incorporate any green at all and just have a totally neutral eye look. But the greens, the options that you get with the greens, and this shade down here, this is like a topper shade, but it's kind of a transformative shade. It's a cream. And you can tap it on top of any of these other ones. So I just tapped the mint green on that brown right here. And it just gives you kind of a duochrome effect. Like it just transforms whatever you put it on top of. I think that this palette is gorgeous. I am so impressed by these palettes. Now, these are the only 2 that I purchased. I highly recommend these Charlotte, at least these 2 colors. I highly recommend these Charlotte Tilbury palettes. And I do think that if you're considering purchasing these or the Victoria Beckham, I think that this is a better value. You get more options, right? You can do more with these palettes than you can the Victoria Beckham palettes. That to me overcomes the fact that these have clear plastic lids or that the packaging might not be the greatest. Her palettes that don't have clear plastic lids are more. So I mean, I think these are worth it. I think that the formulas inside are so nice. The last eyeshadow that I got is the Ilia eyeshadow stick. I only got one. I got the shade Brocade. My thought was I wanted to do like a bronzy smoky eye. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, so I still got the Charlotte Tilbury. What? Oh my gosh. This is the Ilia right here. That's so much more pigmented than I thought it was going to be. I think I'm going to go for this. I think I'm going to put this all over my lid and blend it out and we'll go from there. I'm just super curious about this. I'm going to blend it out, try to soften it with a little smudger brush. That is such a pretty color. That's kind of exactly what I was hoping it would be, like a bronzy brown. It's a beautiful one and done shade. Next time I would do a better job because I wouldn't have all this glitter on me and I wouldn't be so afraid of messing something up. I am going to go in with an inner corner shade. I think I'm going to use this gold. I kind of want to play in some of these mattes and try to soften this edge. I'm going to go in with this darker brown right here in my outer corner, drag it out a little. I feel like I need some warmth in the crease. Yeah, I do. I feel like I need some warmth, like running through my crease. Maybe, uh, ordinarily I would maybe use a bronzer, but I think I'm going to use this shade from the Victoria Beckham palette because it is so warm. I'm just going to lightly run that through my crease. Yeah. So I think that made like just that little tiny step makes a huge difference. This Ilia eyeshadow stick is so pretty. It's so pretty. It's a very creamy formula and it just kind of glides onto the lid. It's not accentuating any texture. I don't know if you can see how smooth that is. Also how wet it looks. That's really pretty. That is really, really, really pretty. I also picked up a new mascara. I just got a mini. I wanted to see how I liked it before I invested in a full size because I have quite a few mascaras open and I don't want them to go to waste. So this is the Lancome Flutter Extensions mascara. The packaging is so incredibly cute. Even for a mini, like this is quite a large size for a mini. You get 0.16 ounces. So that's a lot for a mini. I'm going to line my eyes real quick and we'll try the mascara. All right, let's get into this mascara. Okay, yes. So the wand is tiny. Bristles are very short. These are my favorite kind of mascara wands because they really get into my tiny lashes and lift them and coat them. So let's see how this one does. Right away I can see something. Oh, I just got it all over. The only thing about the tiny bristles, ugh, ignore that. We're going to have to let that dry before I can get it off. But the tiny bristles are doing a great job, like already right off the bat, putting up my eyelashes and coating them. Yes, this mascara has potential. You know how most mascaras, like first impression, you're like going and going and going, trying to get something to happen. And then it eventually does. But this one right out of the gate, I could see it was doing something. Like something is happening. So that is the mascara. This is just one coat. It's hard to see on this side because of where I got mascara on my eyelid. I got the mascara cleaned up a little bit, and this mascara is very impressive. I'm kind of hard to impress with mascaras, not because I'm super, I mean, I am picky, but it's because I have really short, stubby, nothing lashes. And so it's hard for a mascara to, one, even show up on me, especially on camera, but to like lift my lashes and make them look present and curled. And this is first use. So I'm going to try to build it up a little bit. Okay. So I don't know how people build mascaras up. I've never had any luck with it because they dry and then it's hard to get the brush through, but I do think that this looks really, really nice. Very happy with that so far. That is a mascara that I can see purchasing a full size. So let me wipe my lip balm off. I have quite a few lip products to get through here. I only picked up one lip liner, and that was from Ulta. It is MAC Stone. I recently purchased the Isamaya lip liner. I don't think that footage is ever going to see the light of day just because technical difficulties, not for any other reason. But that is where I tried these eyeshadows before. I even did a full look, side-by-side comparisons. I lost the footage and haven't had the capacity to film that again. But in that video, I tried Isamaya lip liner, and it was very close to the color of MAC Stone. And so I thought, I need MAC Stone back in my life because the Isamaya lip liners, they do not stay on the mouth. They wipe right off. I wanted something that was going to stay, and MAC Stone is it. MAC Stone is such a pretty color. I do have the Stone lipstick, but I'm not going to wear that today because I have a couple of other things. When I purchased a lip liner on Ulta, they were having a sale. Purchased the MAC Stone lip liner, the NARS under eye brightener, and 2 MAC lipsticks. And they were like, buy one, get one free. And I added them to my cart, and it was only $16 for 2 lipsticks. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I just got a steal here. Like, what? I just got 2 MAC lipsticks for $16, and they were colors that I had been wanting. And then came my package, and they were minis. That's why they were only $8 each, because they were on sale for half off and they were minis. I'm fine with it, but when I opened the package, I was just like, oh my goodness, why are these lipsticks so tiny? And then I looked at my order, and sure enough, I had ordered minis. It's fine because, like, how often do I actually go through a lipstick? The shades that I got were Paramount and Cream in Your Coffee. They're beautiful colors. Cream in Your Coffee is like a pinky mauve, and Paramount is a brownish red. Very popular color of the 90s, Paramount was. So this is Paramount, and this is Cream in Your Coffee, and then in the middle is MAC Stone. Really pretty shades, but I think maybe a little much for what I've got today. I also picked up a new lip color from Victoria Beckham. I got the shade Pose because I thought it looked like a beautiful, like deep nude, neutral shade. Not nude, but a deep, like neutral shade. And that is the shade Pose. It's a very sheer lipstick, like a sheer beigey mauve. This lipstick case is tiny. It's so beautiful though. But like, what? It's so small. Let me see how much you get in here. Victoria Beckham Posh lipstick, you only get 0.07 ounces. The MAC Mini is 0.06 ounces. So basically, this is the size of a mini. I just have to see. Yep. So here you go. Here's a MAC Mini. So that is the amount that you get in the Victoria Beckham and the MAC. So like basically this is the same size as a MAC Mini. Oh, and it's about 3 times the price. That's slightly disappointing. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I'm a little disappointed in that, you know, for the price. Though the color is beautiful. I didn't realize how tiny the lipstick was though. Anyway, moving on. I have one last lip product. One last product to talk about in this haul. That is the Comfy Lassie Lips Lip Stain Oil. I got one of the new shades. It is in Rose. I've never tried this formula before. I love a good glossy lip stain. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, but the wand is just like hot pink. It's a little bit pinkier than the Victoria Beckham. I think this is what I'm going to go with today just because I haven't used this formula and I'm very, very curious. So I'm going to put this on the lips. Very pretty. Very pretty. It goes great with this eye look and the blush. Okay. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. All right. That is it, guys. That's it. That is my Sephora haul and try on. So let's just recap real quick, okay? I'm going to run through these products as fast as I can because you are probably done here. You're probably so bored because I know that I am. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. Got my bangs down. They're finally growing out to where I can kind of sweep them to the side so I'm not, you know, absolutely hating them at this point. So anyway, I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover about these eyeshadow formulas. I love the Victoria palette from Victoria Beckham, and I love both of these from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm not a huge fan of the olive palette from Victoria Beckham, but I absolutely love the emerald palette from Charlotte Tilbury. It's not really emerald. I mean, it's more of earthy browns and greens. It's got just as many browns as it does greens, honestly. There's just as many options for a neutral brown eye as there are a green eye. So this is fantastic. I really recommend this. If you can get into like Ulta or Sephora and swatch these and feel the textures, they're so creamy. The mattes are so smooth and blendable. They're very finely milled. They do not accentuate texture on mature skin. The shimmers in these palettes aren't super thick like the Viseart or the Natasha Denona shimmers that can accentuate texture. These just melt into the skin. They're beautiful. Highly recommend these. So happy that eyeshadow is back. I mean, so happy. So I will be getting tons of use out of these and I will use these in a video soon. The reason why I didn't, obviously, is because I was so excited about this Ilia shadow. Like there's just something special to me about a one and done cream shadow. And this shade, everything that I wanted it to be. It's the perfect bronzy brown without being too copper penny orange, if that makes sense. It's very warm, but not orange. It's got a little bit of gold in it. It's just perfect as a one and done. The formula is so creamy, so soft, so easy to use. I mean, you saw I just smudged it on my eye and blended it out with a finger. Now I did go in the crease with something warm to kind of, you know, tie everything in together. Eyeshadow is a hit in my book. The Lancome Flutter Extensions Mascara is absolutely beautiful. I will probably pick up a full size of this during the Sephora sale. It's really, really nice. I mean, it's hard to impress me with a mascara, but this tiny little wand just did the trick for me. Yeah. Love this. Mac Stone is just iconic. She is just that girl, and I am so happy to have it back in my life. I recommend the MAC lip liners all day, every day over the Isamaya. These last, they're creamy. To me, their colors are every bit as interesting as Isamaya's, and the formula is just, it's so much better, and they're less expensive. Okay, the MAC minis, I mean, they're so cute. I'm not even that upset about having minis. I laughed at myself when I got them. I'm thinking I'm getting a screaming deal on full-size MAC lipsticks, and then I get them in, and I'm like, seriously, what am I going to do with that? But, you know, it's fine. But the funny thing is, this teeny tiny little mini, and then I got the Victoria Beckham that is like the same size, only it was, you know, $34. I'm totally fine with them being minis, and these are shades that I will try in another video. Paramount is so beautiful. It's such a 90s color, really, really pretty. And then the Victoria Beckham Pose. Let's put it on, see if anything happens. Yeah, just kind of muted that down a little bit and made it a little less pink. Really pretty shade. We're just surprised by the size of it, but I like it. And the formula is really comfortable. The Huda Beauty blush filter. This is just a beautiful, beautiful color, a beautiful formula. So excited to wear this in the spring and summer. And it looks beautiful on the face. It's one of those shades that just brightens and lifts and makes you look awake and alert and healthy and, you know, beautiful color. And the formula is fantastic. Highly recommend the Huda Beauty blushes, and the price is very reasonable on these. They're $23. The Kulfi Lassie Lips, the lip stain oil. I want to wipe this off and see if it actually stained my lips. I want to see. It did. It did. I wondered if it was too light of a color to actually stain the lips. You know what I mean? But it almost seems like it stains them darker than the actual shade swatches. The standout to me was the eyeshadow, and of course MAC Stone, and the Lassie lips, and the mascara. Mascara was really, really good too. The foundation is nice, but I've tried so many beautiful foundations lately that like the bar is set so high for foundations right now. There are so many fantastic foundations and skin tints out there. If it doesn't do everything that I want it to do, it's hard for me to get excited about it because I have so many that do. And this is, I mean, it does look quite beautiful, especially on camera. I mean, as far as I can tell, it looks stunning on camera. The only thing that I'm unhappy with is the way that it looks around my smile lines here. It's kind of separating and settling there, and I don't love that. But that's a difficult area for many foundations, and everywhere else it looks absolutely flawless. So that concludes this Sephora haul slash Ulta haul, Victoria Beckham beauty haul, try on. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.